This week on Talking About the Movies, hey, there's a brand new Looney Tunes movie coming out this weekend that you probably not even heard of. Shame on you people because you're missing out on the first great movie of the year. Today I'm going to tell you all about The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie. Plus,
Plankton! I'm gonna do what you could never do. World domination!
World domination? That's my thing!
the second SpongeBob SquarePants spin-off film arrives on Netflix. And in case anybody's wondering, is it better than Saving Bikini Bottom? Short answer, absolutely. Long answer, we're going to delve into that. Plankton the movie, and it took home this year's Best Animated Feature Oscar over surefire winners The Wild Robot and Inside Out 2. Is it worth the watch? I took a look at this year's Oscar-winning Best Animated Feature film from Latvia, Flow. It's an animation extravaganza coming your way this week on Talking About the Movies. And welcome to Talking About the Movies, a very animated edition of Talking About the Movies. As you see, we're covering three big recent animated movies, and as we are in a celebration of 20 years of me covering the biggest new releases of the weekend, one of this weekend's biggest new releases is indeed a big new animated release. And the other two releases are films that you might have heard about, some of them you might not have. You might have forgotten that there was a Plankton movie that was in the works, a Plankton spin-off movie based off the character from SpongeBob SquarePants that came out on Netflix last week. I finally got around to checking that out, and the big question you're probably wondering is it better than the Sandy Cheeks movie? Well, short answer is yes, but we'll get to that one eventually. And I finally did get to see this year's Best Animated Feature winner, Flow, which is, of course, the film from Latvia that beat out a surefire win, in my opinion. I thought The Wild Robot was going to take the Oscar, but is it as good as everyone says it is? Well, you're going to have to wait and find out. And yes, the fan is on right now because it's fucking hot because of Randy Marsh, son of a bitch. No, it's actually unseasonably warm for this time of the year. I mean, we're in the middle of March, and I know we're about 6 days away from spring coming around, but it was like 75 today. It's just like, I mean, I get it, spring's around the corner, but I mean, it just got warm like hell the last couple of days, and it's just like, that's why the fan is on. So yeah, if you hear that humming in the background, that's that. So bear with me on that. But enough chit chat. You're here to hear me talk about these animated movies. We've got a lot to get to here. A rare triple feature day here. So let's just go ahead and get right to the main attraction, the feature presentation, and that is The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie. So in this movie, Porky and Daffy, the classic animated odd couple, turn into unlikely heroes when their antics at the local bubblegum factory uncover a secret alien mind control plot. Against all odds, the two are determined to save the town and the world. That is, if they don't drive each other crazy in the process. Now, something you have to keep in mind with this movie is that, believe it or not, this is actually the first fully animated, theatrically released Looney Tunes film based off of entirely original material. Yeah, you're probably thinking to yourself, well, wait a minute, the Looney Tunes have been on the big screen before. They had all those compilation films back in the 70s and 80s. Compilation films. What about Space Jam? Well, that was a mix of live action and animation. Who Framed Roger Rabbit was also like that too, and the Looney Tunes were in that one as well. Looney Tunes Back in Action, same thing. Space Jam: A New Legacy. This time around, no compilations, no Bob Hoskins, no Roger Rabbit, no Michael Jordan, no Bill Murray, no Wayne Knight, even though he does have a voice in this movie. No LeBron James, no Brendan Fraser, no Steve Martin. This is the Looney Tunes movie. This is a literal Looney Tunes movie, and not just a Looney Tunes movie, a Looney Tunes cartoons movie, which is, of course, if you don't know what I'm talking about, those great shorts that were on HBO Max for several years when that streamer was on. I mean, that was basically the main reason to get that and Close Enough, but of course Close Enough's no longer on there anymore, but you can still find those Looney Tunes shorts on there, and I highly recommend checking them out because they are absolutely amazing. Everybody on those shorts worked on this movie, because this was a film that was originally intended to be an HBO Max original, and then eventually a movie that was going to air on Cartoon Network. However, the studio, Warner Brothers, which in their infinite wisdom, because they think they know what they're doing,
they decided to shelve the film, and just like with Coyote versus Acme, they were never going to let anybody see it. But then Ketchup Entertainment came into play and said, "Hey, we'll distribute it, and we'll see what happens and this is their test to see if this movie can attract a Looney Tunes audience that Warner Brothers clearly doesn't think is out there." When that could not be further from the truth. I mean, you're talking to one of the biggest Looney Tunes fans out there, and I mean, look behind me. Bugs is right there. I put him right there with some of my treasured things. You know, SpongeBob, Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon, Neil and Pit Dell from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. T.J. Watts also behind me too. I mean, I'm a Looney Tunes fan. I grew up with the cartoons. I watched them all the time on Nickelodeon. I had all the tapes. I have the DVDs. I've seen all the movies. I mean. This was made for this. The Looney Tunes are something that I cherish so much. I mean, before I even knew what Disney was, the Looney Tunes was the first thing that was in my life in general. I mean, that's the one thing I remember early on from my childhood. And so, needless to say, I was pumped to see this movie finally, and I was ready to see it. But unfortunately, my movie theater that I usually go to did not show the film. For some reason, despite the fact that this is in 2,800 theaters, my theater apparently was one of the ones that said, "No, we're not going to carry it. No, we got these Bollywood movies and these re-releases that aren't even really big re-releases." I mean, The Hunger Games, I mean, I get it. The Hunger Games, I like the Hunger Games movies as much as the next guy, but you could have made some room for this movie. I mean, Mufasa the Lion King has been out in theaters, in the same theater now for 3 months. And I like that movie, but time has passed, man. Like, you could put something else in there, but no. So unfortunately, I had to go all the way out to the other mall that's nearby me, but that's a little bit longer from where I am. Westmoreland Mall, out by Westmoreland Mall, I should say, the AMC Theater, which I went there one time 20 years ago, and it was for Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events, when the theater that I usually went to before I went to the Monroeville one, the Carmike Theater, I missed out on seeing it when I had the chance to see it at that theater, so I had my parents take me out to there so I can go see it then. And, of course, the Carmike Theater nearby me is no longer here anymore. It's now Busy Beaver, which still if by that. But then again, that's what happened during the COVID pandemic, because that's when they shut it down. But that's beside the point altogether. The point I'm sure is what you're probably here wondering is, I finally saw the film. What did I think of it? Is it as good as everybody says it is? Well, let me tell you something. It's not only as good as everybody says it is. It's a great movie. It's not only that, it's the first real great movie I have seen this year. Like, this film is one of those movies that I look at and it's just like, it's going to take a miracle for this film to be my favorite movie of the year. Because this is my favorite film of the year so far. This film was just an absolute delight for so many reasons. One, it's the Looney Tunes on the big screen. I mean, that's always going to get me into the theater no matter what. Two, it's 2D animation. 2D animation on the big screen is such a rare thing nowadays. And here's a studio that's putting it out there, taking a big risk on it, and it was worth seeing it there because it definitely looks incredible. It's it's as funny as you expect it to be. It's as emotional as you think it could be. I mean, it's like you don't really expect a Looney Tunes movie to pack emotions, but they really did a good job of handling that in this movie. I mean, there's a lot of great homages, and the whole premise is like a B sci-fi movie from the 50s made for this generation. I mean, this feels like a film. This feels like the equivalent of the Wallace and Gromit movie, The Curse of the Were-Rabbit, which was marketed as, a horror movie for vegetarians. I mean, this literally feels like that type of a movie in general, except that one, obviously they had a G rating and they weren't going to do too much with what they were doing there, but they made it work overall. It was a really good movie. This is an excellent film, man. This is a film that I was laughing so hard during this movie. I was having a good time with it, man. It's one of the more fun experiences I've had in the theater in a while, man. Like, it's been quite long, and it's just a damn good movie. It's just so wonderful to see these characters on the big screen and seeing this film that's made by people who clearly had a love for the characters of the Looney Tunes. These are people that worked on the Looney Tunes cartoons, the people that knew what exactly needed to be done to make a damn good Looney Tunes film, and they succeeded in everything they were trying to accomplish. But on top of that, the animation, they just upped the ante with the animation in this. I mean, the animation was already really good looking in the cartoon show on Max, but they really do up the ante here. This feels like a big screen adventure that really it's hard to believe this was originally going to go straight to Max and then Cartoon Network, and just the fact that it's on the big screen, and just maybe it's because of the fact that I haven't seen a 2D animated movie on the big screen in so long. Maybe that's why I got so invested behind it, but it's really well done. You could tell that the people that were making this movie clearly had a love of the Looney Tunes cartoons, the stuff, and because the character designs essentially are modeled after, Bob Clampett and also other animations as well, but mostly Bob Clampett. You could definitely tell. If you've watched Looney Tunes as long as I have, you can tell which directors have specific, unique visions of the different characters in general. And there's a lot of Clampett-style animation in this. The voice work is top-notch. Eric Bauza, man. I mean, talk about one of the great voice actors, man. He's a great Bugs Bunny. He's a great Daffy Duck. I didn't think he could ever do Porky Pig, because Bob Bergen's kind of made Porky Pig his own thing, but I guess I didn't realize it until very late on in the Looney Tunes cartoons that that's him doing Porky Pig in the cartoons. Because I know he did it in Space Jam: A New Legacy, but I mean, he's elevated Porky Pig to another level, man, because he's funny as Porky Pig in those cartoons. And here, I mean, you just buy their chemistry so well. I was also kind of a little bit disappointed that Laura Jill Miller from the cartoon show wasn't back as Petunia Pig, but I mean, you got a seasoned voice actress in Candy Milo, who's done a lot of great voice work for so many years. I mean, yeah, I'm not going to really complain all that much because she's pretty awesome. I mean, she's been a great voice actress for several years, and she fits Petunia pretty well here. How about Peter McNichol, man? I can't even remember the last thing he was in. What did he do in between Ally McBeal and this? I mean, the last thing I can only think of is Breaking All the Rules, that terrible Jamie Foxx movie. But it's been a while since I've seen him in anything, and him playing the villain in this, the antagonist, the invader. I mean, it's really, really fun to watch him again. I mean, the animators did a great job of that villain alone. And like I said, Wayne Knight's in the movie. He's the mayor of the town. You hear Lorraine Newman early on, a prolific voice actress. I mean, a lot of seasoned veterans all across the board here. If you know a lot of voice actors, you'll recognize their voices in this. And the comedy, top notch. I mean, the farmer in this movie, there's a running gag with the farmer, and just the way he's animated and the way that he just shows up at random points in the movie, like, it's hilarious to watch. Like, there's just so much about this movie that I loved so much about it. Like, I can't believe that Warner Brothers did not want to release this. I mean, it's a universally acclaimed film, pretty much. I mean, everyone that you talk to who have seen the film before this loved the movie, and yet Warner Brothers wants to keep pretending like the Looney Tunes aren't a thing anymore. And it's the fact that, people like me, people like Black Nerd Comedy, people like Brad Jones, all these different people online, like on YouTube and all that, like, we have to be the ones to tell you, hey, this movie is out there, and yes, you have to go and see it because it's pretty freaking awesome. And basically I'm telling you to see it because, yeah, I want this movie to be successful so it can be the equivalent of giving David Zaslav the middle finger for what he's done to Warner Brothers, because, yeah, him letting this go and just letting this slip away is such a disappointment. And because this is released by a smaller company, you really won't be able to know. You probably didn't even know it even existed until I told you about it. But that's the thing about this review, man. I'm here to tell you that, yes, it's out there. It's out there now. You should go see it, and really, people need to go and see this movie, man, because they are missing. Because not only just to help the Looney Tunes in general, and the big F you to David Zaslav, but you just need to go see it because it's a good, fun movie, man. I mean, this is a great kids movie, a great animated movie. It's just a fun, good time. Even if you're not the biggest Looney Tunes fan out there, there's just so much you can admire about this movie. And I have to give the movie credit too for just making it a Daffy, Porky, and Petunia movie. There's very rarely any big cameos from any other Looney Tunes. There's no Bugs Bunny. There's the cameo that you see in the trailer with the angry theater dude, which is very well done. I mean, I don't have much more to tell you about this movie, man. This is just such a freaking amazing movie that it needs to be seen. If you have a theater out there that's playing this movie near you, get your ass off your seat and go see this movie because that's for the adults out there. For the kids out there, get your butts off of the seats and go see and beg your parents to take you to see this movie because, yeah, this is an incredible, incredible movie and one that has to be seen to be believed. This is the first great movie of the year. It's going to be really hard for this movie to top anything that comes out the rest of the year. To be topped by anything that comes out the rest of the year because, yeah, this is my favorite movie of the year so far, and I mean, I don't know what else could possibly top it per se, but we'll wait to see what happens. But it's going to be tough to do because I love the hell out of this movie. Whenever I get a chance to, I'm going to go out and see this again at some point. Whether it has to be in the theater, whether it has to be on Blu-ray or streaming or wherever I can watch it, I'm watching it as soon as it becomes at the next possible chance I can get to see it. But get your butts off your seats and go see this damn movie, man, because it needs every bit of praise and attention that it deserves right now, because people need to see this movie and experience how great it is. So as you can tell, I'm giving this movie a big thumbs up. One of the best movie of the year so far, the first great movie of the year so far. Hilarious, well animated, Looney Tunes comedy gold. Just a classic movie, man. Just one that has to be seen to be believed. It's an amazing film. Definitely seek this one out. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the second animated film I have for you this weekend. This one is on Netflix, so you can watch this at home right now if you want to. That is the Plankton movie. Or Plankton the movie, or it doesn't really matter. The Plankton movie, Plankton the movie. It's a movie starring Plankton from SpongeBob. I mean, it's gonna be whatever you think it is, but this is Plankton the movie, and it follows Plankton, once again played by Mr. Lawrence, whose plan for world domination are put to halt when his computer wife Karen, voiced by Jill Talley, decides to take charge and basically just throws him out the door and turns completely evil. And yeah, the last time we saw SpongeBob and his friends in a movie, it was needless to say, it was not a good movie in general. It was Saving Bikini Bottom, the Sandy Cheeks movie, which ended up on my honorable mentions list for the worst movie of the year. It's the worst SpongeBob movie ever. And then shortly after that, this film actually leaked online, and I was good. I did not watch any of the leaked footage because I wanted to see the full film itself before I wanted to see it from Netflix itself. I didn't want to see a work print version or something that could have been seen as something very, very bad. But so I waited, and now my patience has been rewarded. I have finally seen the film. And I am very happy to report that not only is this better than the Sandy Cheeks movie, it's a pretty fun movie overall. It's a real good time all across the board. I mean, it is a very fun film. It's a very inventive movie. It has a really fun premise overall where you get to see Plankton's wife actually doing more in here, like being kind of the antagonist of the film here. And it's a really well done film. And what I've liked about what these SpongeBob spin-offs have basically done is that SpongeBob does show up in these. Like, he usually shows up as a supporting character in general in these films, but I mean, he never steals the show in general, and he usually will deliver a lot of the better moments in the film, because here, you know, it's Plankton and them got to work side by side once again, you know, just like they did in the SpongeBob movie, Sponge Out of Water, and there's been other episodes, of course, where they've had to work together, and I like what they do here. I like the differences that of SpongeBob as a supporting character in a film like this, and, you know, having a character like Plankton being the full centerpiece of this movie. And unlike the Sandy Cheeks movie, this film was just much funnier. It was much more clever. There wasn't any bad CG that's incredibly nightmare-fuelish like Wanda Sykes. Jesus Christ, I still have that horrible image in my head of what they did to her in that film. No characters that seem like they're pointlessly added in here. I mean, this is what you expect from a spin-off movie of SpongeBob, where SpongeBob isn't the main character. Like, he'll still be around in the main focus of the film, but it's based off of a character we kind of want to see advance and do their own story, and it works very well here. There's a lot of great music in here, with music by Brett McKenzie from Flight of the Conchords. They have Mark Mothersbaugh from Rugrats doing some of the music in here. And it's just cool to see, you know, Plankton and his wife getting a bigger presence on here, and especially seeing Karen actually being seen as a legitimate threat in here. I mean, she comes off as legitimately terrifying in this movie at times. I mean, this is a really good movie that knows exactly what it's doing. You can tell that this was made by the same people that work on the show and know what it needs to do to entertain its audience, unlike the Sandy Cheeks movie. It's weird because it has that same animation style as Camp Coral, which is the prequel SpongeBob series, which I didn't think was all that bad in general. I actually thought it was kind of fun overall, and there's a lot of that in this movie. The animation overall is a lot better. It doesn't feel like it's insulting the intelligence of its audience in general. I mean, this is a really fun film. I mean, it's a film that you don't go in there expecting a whole lot of high expectations for. I mean, this is not going to top what the theatrical SpongeBob movies do. I mean, the SpongeBob theatrical movies have been all fun all across the board, but this is definitely a big step up in the right direction for these spin-off films. I mean, if the Patrick Star Show and this are any indication, do more spin-offs with these characters in general. I mean, I wouldn't even mind another Sandy Cheeks film. Just don't make it as bad as you did with Saving Bikini Bottom. But this is a really good movie. This is a fun film, and it's a fun film you can watch at home. I mean, this is one of those times when Netflix has something on there that's not over budgeted, not overly, padded out, or feels like it needs to gloat about who they got as stars or their budgets in general, and just wants to have a good time overall. Netflix has a wide assortment of really good animated films that are on their streaming service that you should check out that will probably never ever see the light of day on Blu-ray or DVD, but this is definitely one of those movies that I would say is one you should definitely check out. It's a very fun film. The songs in here are really good. It's good to see a character from the SpongeBob universe getting the focus here and actually making a very fun film out of it. I really enjoyed the film, man. I think it's a very good time all across the board, and it's one I highly recommend checking out. So this one, as you can tell, I'm giving it another thumbs up. A really good film, one that you should definitely check out. So, quick thoughts on the Plankton movie. So let's go ahead and move on to the last film we have here on this show this week, and that is this year's Best Animated Feature Oscar winner, Flow. So, of course, Flow is the story about it's about a cat that's trying to survive along with other animals in a seemingly post-apocalyptic world as the water levels dramatically rise. And what's notable about this movie is that, besides the really good-looking animation here, it has absolutely no dialogue in this film whatsoever. This is like what they were going to do with stuff like, The Land Before Time and Dinosaur and Walking with Dinosaurs. A lot of movies with dinosaurs, but the original plan was for them to not have any dialogue, but studio executives came in and said, no, you got to throw in some dialogue in here. And for The Land Before Time, it worked. Dinosaurs and Walking with Dinosaurs, not so much. But it's refreshing to see an animated film like this go that route. And I'll be the first to admit, when it won over The Wild Robot and Inside Out 2, I'm not going to lie, I was very upset about it because I thought The Wild Robot was a shoo-in to win, and I thought it would have helped DreamWorks Animation, help reignite that second golden age of animation that they're currently in right now. I thought that is, and nothing against this movie per se or anything. I'm pretty sure it was going to be good regardless, but I just had no idea how good it could really be, and so I waited for a chance to see the film, and I went to see it, and I have to admit that yes, I can see why this won Best Animated Feature, because it is absolutely mesmerizing to watch. It is a very unique animated film for so many reasons. I mean, the film reminds me so much of you ever heard of that game Stray from a couple years ago? There was a video game out there called Stray where you're playing as this cat and you go through all these different adventures. Again, kind of like in this futuristic world that this time around it's all like robots, machines, mutant bacteria, that type of stuff. I mean, I can't believe I'm the only one. I don't think I'm the only one making that comparison, but I really don't think I should be, because you can definitely tell there's a lot of that in this movie here. And I wouldn't be surprised if they actually took a lot of inspiration from that game and put it into this movie. But they say that the main inspirations here, the works of Jacques Tati and also Future Boy Conan, which that's an anime, isn't it? Yeah, it's an anime. I've heard the name. I just never seen it before. Again, a unique film all across the board, because not only do they not have any dialogue here, supposedly they didn't use any storyboards for this. There were no deleted scenes here. So this is the film that they made, and this is what they all put together here. And it's just such a towering feat in general, because you're following all these animals. There's no dialogue per se, but I mean, this is what the beauty of animation is in general. Like, this is why animation will always beat live action to me, because you could never do this type of a film in live action. Like I said, you couldn't do it like you'd have to do it like Homeward Bound. Like, you'd have to have the animals have to have celebrity voices. You'd have to have them say crazy lines and all that type of stuff. But at least with the Homeward Bound movies, they were at least entertaining films. Nowadays, it'd be more like Marmaduke, where it's just like, let's get Owen Wilson to play the big dog here, and let's get all these random celebrities to show up in here for no real purpose whatsoever. I mean, seriously, what the hell were you thinking, Fox? But I guess Disney now, but it was Fox back then. But the point I'm trying to get across here is that you could never do a film like this in modern day. You'd have to have the characters either talk, or you'd have to have a narration behind it. You'd have to go down the route of what was that movie from the 80s? I remember The Adventures of Milo and Otis, which is the story about the dog and the cat, and they have to go out on this adventure. And they had to and for the American version, they threw in Dudley Moore as the narration for it. And it's serviceable, but it definitely feels like it was forced in by the studio because nobody really wants to see. Nobody wants to believe that, if you don't have any dialogue here, then you're not going to get people invested in the film. This film proves to you that, yeah, you can get people invested in the film without having anybody talking and just having the animals doing the acting for you. I mean, this is a top-notch movie that just works on so many levels. From the animation perspective, it's just so incredibly put together. I mean, this is a really damn good movie, and it's just so invigorating and investing to watch in here. This is a towering achievement from this company from Latvia, and it's hard to believe this is the first thing from Latvia that has ever won an Academy Award from them, and it's just, like, let me see more stuff from these people here. Against Zabolodons, I think I'm pronouncing that name right. I mean, they should be well congratulated for this because they made such an achievement of a movie, something that I did not think was even possible that could be done in such a way that they do it here. I mean, this is such a well put together movie. I mean, you get behind the characters so much, you get behind the animation, it looks incredible, and you just want to see these characters get their main goal in this. Like, again, kind of like with the Wild Robot, this feels like a film that would have played very well in the late 80s. Like, this feels like an 80s movie where, there are some risks, there are some darker elements that these characters have to go through here. This is something that I think Pete Don Bluth would have done pretty well here if he had been given the opportunity to do such a thing. If he wanted to do it to begin with, but I'm pretty sure he would have. But yeah, this is a terrific film. This is a really good movie that, yeah, I can now see why it won Best Animated Feature, because it is that good of a movie, and it is an impressive feat what these people were able to accomplish here. And it's just such a really good movie. It's such an investing film. It's such a visually put together film. It just, everything about it just works so well, and it is such an impressively made film that I can't recommend this one enough. I mean, this is a very impressive film in general. I mean, this is right up there with The Day the Earth Blew Up as my favorite movie of the year so far. And yes, I know this came out in 2024, but I didn't see it until 2025. I had that with Wallace and Gromit too, so screw it. It's going to be my list of the best movies of 2025. I mean, I know I shouldn't do that. I know I'm cheating a little bit here, but I can break the rules if I want to. This is my channel. I can do whatever I want. But seek this movie out if you can. It's playing in theaters. It's playing in select theaters now, and it goes on streaming on HBO Max. I think at the end of sometime in March, if I'm not mistaken. I think I read that it was. Let me just double check here just to make sure. It actually is streaming now on HBO Max. So it's one you should. It's definitely worth checking out. And if you don't have HBO Max, it's coming out on the Criterion Collection in a couple of months, so it'll definitely be available in some way, shape, or form. Here, let me get the light back in here so you guys can see me. But it is going to come out on Criterion in the next couple of months, so be on the lookout for that. And apparently, you don't have to just go to Max and watch. You can watch it on Hulu. It says you can watch it on Prime Video, Apple TV. I guess YouTube TV has it too. So if you have YouTube TV, you can watch it on there right now. So, But it's definitely worth it. It's definitely worth seeking out. When you watch it, it's just like, okay, I can admit that this is definitely the film that should have won Best Animated Feature, and it deserves it. It's a terrific movie. It's one of the best things I've seen so far this year. Yes, I'm going to cheat with my Best of the Year list. This is going on that list for sure. Another big thumbs up for Flow. So three really good animated movies. Two films that are guaranteed to make my Best of the Year list, and one that is very enjoyable all across the board. So, a very, very good week of films indeed. So, let me know your thoughts down below. If you did go to see The Day the Earth Blew Up, if you did see Flow or Plankton the movie, please let me know your thoughts down below, because I really want to know what your thoughts are on these movies. Also, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, notification, and the bell, because you get updates on when new videos come out. We do post here every day. And of course, as always, hit the like and subscribe button. But with all that said, that's going to wrap this episode of talking about the movies up. I think I'm doing the other show, but no, this is the end of talking about the movies for this week. Next week, we get to some of the bigger movies of the spring. Snow White, the controversial Snow White, but I will delve into that when we go along here. But Rachel Zegler, Snow White, Gal Gadot is the Evil Queen. I'm cautiously optimistic about it. I mean, it could be bad, but I'm going into it with a little bit of optimism. But I'll definitely have a review for that one there, and I'll also have a review for Mickey 17, the Robert Pattinson Bong Joon-ho movie, which I've been hearing a lot of mixed things about. I've heard it's great in the first half. Second half, it's kind of where it peters off. So I'll let you know what my thoughts on that when we get to next week. But 2 films to look at next time around. So with all that said, thank you so much for watching. Check out my other video I did last week where I took a look at the worst movies of the decade so far. And also hit the playlist below to check out some other episodes and reviews I've done. So with all that said, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you folks next time. So until then, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care.